So, weekend is here, nearly done, however you want to portray it. And it's time for me to move the mic because I sort of want to be heard more than seen or whatever. This is Ashley, and this is your weekend wrestling wrap-up. The weekend one, if you didn't see the weekday one, the weekend one is just going to focus on the main television stuff. Your WWE's, your TNA's, your Ring of Honors, your What Culture, which technically isn't TV, but that sort of stuff, and Lucha Underground, which we're going to get to first. Just to mention, for this week, there is no WCPW, just because when I plan this and film this, it's normally either like Friday night or Saturday morning UK time, which is before the WCPW stuff has happened. So that'll get tacked onto next week. Also next week, because of my schedule, it won't be coming out the weekend, this video, because I'll be at the gaming convention. It'll probably be on its way some point as a separate video, possibly Tuesday or Wednesday, but don't worry, I'm going to be shooting something for the channel, sort of as a fill-in gap while I'm away that week. But I'm not going to have 2 weeks to catch up. I'm not screwing up on that mistake. So it'll be some point, like possibly next Tuesday or Wednesday, but it'll be before the wrestling, the indie wrestling one in the midweek. So now they've got that out of the way. So no WCPW this week, as I say. That'll be on next week, and it'll probably be, that one, because of I'll be recording it after the convention, I might put the two WCPWs together for that one. But then again, I won't be talking about then a WCW the following week. I'll work it out, but certainly no talk about it this week, other than the fact that if you haven't seen it already, they have announced that the main event of the show will be featuring Big Damo versus Rampage Brown, and Adam Pacitti, the boss, has made the pile driver legal for one night and one match only. So could be a very interesting one. We'll have to see. My full thoughts will come next week. So, first up, Lucha Underground, episode 2 of season 3, entitled The Amulet. You previously, this time, had the whole Dario's out of jail, Famous B falling out with Mascarita Sagrada, and the sort of little tease of Dr. Wagner Jr., and the whole Marty the Moth killshot stuff. Warning, this is a very story-heavy episode. So, we opened up with looking at the police the night that Cisco got killed. If you remember back to season 2, Dario killed Cisco. So basically, we get the report of them actually hearing that he got killed, which we sort of already saw, but I guess we're seeing again, except you can clearly tell that this was not filmed at the same time because they're dressed differently from what I vaguely remember, and the whole setting and the shooting of it is different. So Cortez Castro, aka, can't remember the name that he's supposed to be going off of, says, look, that's enough evidence to put Dario away now. But Captain Vasquez, she says that there's a war coming. It's going to be a big one. Dario's the key to all of it. And Joey Ryan's like, yeah, learn your own position, mate. Why go caring for a criminal like that? And Castro's like, hey, he was my friend, man. And they have sort of like a 1980s crap kung fu mini fight, because the captain's like, stop it. And Castro goes out and he's pissed. Very pissed. We then go into our opening match. Famous B interrupting Melissa Santos to do the introduction for the Surgeon of Suffering, Dr. Wagner Jr., with the beautiful Brenda, who, by the way, apparently didn't dress like a prostitute this time. She dressed like a porn star. Dr. Wagner Jr. is taking on Masquerita Sagrada. So yeah, a full-fledged wrestler versus a mini. Guess what happened? Mini gets murdered. I mean, that's all I can really say. You know, there was a little bit of sort of momentum, but Dr. Wagner pretty much massacred him. I think it was the Dr. Driver that finished him off. Then, after commercial, we are in an ancient Aztec village. We are like 3,000 years ago. Or, 1,000 years ago. That might give you a clue as to what this is. And a man, presumably a chief, is dying. And a young girl, who I'm guessing is probably his daughter, is asking for him. And he says, "You've got to lead the people in the fight against the gods." And at first she's like, "Oh, I don't want to." But then he gives her the amulet. The Piedra Immortal. The amulet that only works for females. And that it provides immortal life and ageless beauty. I'm pretty sure from the makeup, this man that they're not unveiling is, I mean, because of the name and the time, I'm guessing it's Mil Muertes, and I'm pretty sure it is our man from AAA. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, which I should do. But it's the guy that actually plays Mil there, playing him. So we're sort of staying true to that. So then we cut back to Captain Vasquez's office, which is during Ultima Lucha a few months back. And she's got, well, I was going to say she's got the amulet, but she's only got half of the amulet. And Cortez Castro comes in. Vasquez suspends him for going against her, because apparently the reason why Dario got arrested and then got let out is because Castro went straight to the commissioner rather than to her, so he got punished. But all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's a motive for Vasquez. At first we were just like, oh, she's the hard cop. But now, because of that part amulet that she has in possession of her, there's a method to this madness. Speaking of Mil, he's in action next, taking on Genis, which, again, this was sort of a squash match. Mil comfortably won with a flatliner. But then afterwards, Prince Puma, ahead of that pep talk that he was given sort of by Vampiro last week, wipes him out, comes after coming into the ring. Mil goes for a punch, gets kicked. Then there was a drop kick that only Puma / Ricochet can do, and then Katrina managed to stop them from brawling, and her and Mil head to the back. So the feud's back on. So then we cut to last week's Lucha Underground, and basically somewhere behind the scenes, Dario's in his office, and Joey Ryan comes in. And Ryan's like, I'm a cop. And I know that you killed Siska, but, you know, I want to be your friend. I don't want to be a bad guy. So don't sweat it. Oh, and by the way, there's another cop in here as well. And it's Cortez Castro. And I sort of want to help you out. Yeah, I think I can provide some very adequate assistance for you. For a price, of course. I've got to pay the child support, man. And I think Dario, I guess, pays him a little bit of money. And Joey, being Joey, smiles. So, interesting here, it's like, is Joey trying to be undercover here? Or is he being bad cop? Bad lieutenant? Whatever. And then finally, the final match of the night. The way it was said, I guess it's because of the Mexican accent. It's not because I'm racist. The Weapons of Mass Distraction match was actually a Weapons of Mass Destruction match. It was a WMD match. It started weird because Marty came out with face paint and a machine gun. But these guys, this is probably one of the most brutal matches that we saw. I'm not sure whether it was a bad gig or whether it was hard way. I'm guessing a gig, because there was a heck of a lot of blood coming out of Marty. It wasn't like dramatic Eddie Guerrero spurting out sort of thing, but we got a fair old Crimson Mask. And laughing, because, you know, he's like Crazy Steve's brother from another mother, or something. We'll get to him. There was weapon spots aplenty, spots onto ammo boxes, which were basically just metal crates. We had ladders, we had table spots. The finish, though, came with Mariposa sort of getting involved to try and help Marty out. But she gets knocked out the ring. Kill Shot gets the PTSD in him. Just kicks Marty until he's practically dead. And then off the ladder, double stomps him, I'm pretty sure through a table, to finish. But Marty has proved, I don't care if he's fat, he can wrestle. Why didn't he do that in NXT? And with Killshot, I mean, I know Shane. Yeah, screw it, I'm breaking kayfabe. Hell, you know, I've done it with practically every other wrestler. We know Killshot Shane can be extreme because, you know, he was in CZW for a bit. And this sort of now legitimizes that character, which, considering the story that we're going to get over the rest of this season, is an important one, because we need to establish him as a strong character rather than a bit part player. But then, of course, it's not over yet. Mills absolutely losing it because of Puma showing up and interfering. And then Katrina goes, I've been waiting years for this. And out of a bag pulls out the other half of the amulet that Vasquez has. So, does that mean that Vasquez is sort of the sister of Katrina? Are they both the same person? It's just they're two separate spirits and bodies because of what's split. Because we know Katrina's got otherworldly properties. I mean, it was a very... I mean, despite from 2 squash matches, which basically were just there for story, this story-focused one, it was confusing first. Because we had, okay, here's what happened at Cisco's murder, and then here's what happened at Ultima Lucha, and then here's what happened last week, and then here's what happened also last week, because I'm pretty sure, because I don't think it's listed here. Oh, it is. I missed it. The other thing that happened is Cortez Castro basically got reinstated. You know, after his a few months away after Ultima Lucha, when he got suspended, and he's basically ready to join her side. But I mean, it's a very it's a convoluted episode. Although it's in order, it's just like, here's last week, here's 1,000 years ago, here's 2 months back. Like, okay, hang on. It's not like a Tarantino film where it's like, oh, the wrong order, please. But yeah, very strong. Next up, NXT. So Samoa Joe heads to the ring and says, you know, sometimes when you lose, it makes you reflect and makes you see what you've become. So, you know, he's heard a lot of things from a lot of people, and all those things that he said, those comments are deserved. You know, I was a disgrace when I was champ. You know, I didn't care as long as I had that belt, and I want to be the standard of NXT. You know, I wanted to be the champ, and basically, he wants to talk to Nakamura. So Nakamura shows up, joins him in the ring, and says, you know, people squabble on the internet just to get sort of ratings and whatever. But the thing is, they didn't need the hype for NXT TakeOver. You know, they went to war, and at the time, he said Shinsuke didn't deserve it, but the actual fact is, he did, and he's a worthy champ. And he'll give him a respect. And Joe goes, of course, I do have a rematch clause, and as soon as I'm ready, I want it. And Nakamura thinks for a bit and then goes, right, when you're ready, I'll be ready. And Joe goes to leave, but then comes back and offers a handshake. Nakamura accepts. Joe leaves. Then Nakamura heads up the ramp to do his exit sort of Tron stage thing, and then gets attacked from behind by Joe, and smacks him into the ring steps, hits him with an uranagi onto the ring steps, and Joe goes, "You did this to yourself." And Nakamura's on a backboard with, you know, neck brace. He's being taken out on a stretcher. Are we getting a stretcher match in NXT? Hello, Toronto. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think the last time we had a stretcher match. Was it Toronto? At least for a major title. Sorry, IC belt. I think that was the last time. Can't remember. Stretcher match is something that you don't normally see. So we come back. Match number 1. Rachel Fazio, a.k.a. Rachel Ellering. Yes, that Ellering family. This is the irony, because we'll get to that. Taking on Liv Morgan. And pretty decent match. Liv Morgan manages to make Rachel tap out to a guillotine choke. And then afterwards gets on the mic and says, when you start off a sentence with no offence, you basically mean you're trying to offend them. So no offence, Rachel, but you tapped out. Word on the street is the women's division's been cleared out and there's no one left to take on Asuka. But I'm here. I want to fight. People might think this is a death wish or something, but, you know, if she ever gave a damn about what the world thought, she wouldn't be here challenging her. Because she's basically throwing down the gauntlet. We'll have to see. Then we have a Sanity video package. In case you're wanting NXT spoilers, I'm not giving them out, basically because I think within the next 2 weeks we're getting to the stuff anyway. Let's just say Owen was wrong about Sanity. If you haven't looked at it, all I will say is Sanity is more than one person. And one of the people in the group I am very, very, very excited for. And I think and hope that I've got a feeling what might be coming down the line at TakeOver in November. In Toronto! Toronto! Not Mark Carano. Toronto. Toronto. Because they always have a silent T. It's always Toronto. Like Torino or something. That's in Italy. It's also a Ford car. Yes, I saw Clint Eastwood films as well. So we get second match. Drew Gulak versus Hideo Itami. I'm already smiling because it's like, okay, so this is Kenta versus Drew Gulak. This is a technical guy versus a technical guy. We all win. And the weird thing is, we actually do. It's a very good match, as you'd expect. I mean, if you've seen Gulak on the Cruiserweight Classic, or if you haven't, you've seen his indie stuff, you know he's a diamond in the rough. There's a reason why he trains people at Shikara and CZW. He's pretty busy. But eventually it's go to sleep time, and Itami wins. So we're building up Hideo, but still giving Gulak the chance to shine on NXT, not just on Cruiserweight Classic. We'll get to that. That'll be my phrase, I guess. So next up, the Authors of Pain, Cam and Razar. I love the fact that one is actually called Razar, because I just want to do the whole obvious joke of Token and Razar. Accompanied by Paul Ellering. Yes, Rachel's dad. I think it's Rachel's dad. Versus Doug Sessom and Chris Payne. As you'd expect, Cam and Razar murdered them, finishing them off with the clothesline Russian leg sweep combo. So then we get to the back. Ty Dillinger's there and says, you know, sometimes you've got to take a step back to then take 2 steps forward. Now, I've had a few wins over the last few weeks. You know, things are turning around for me. I am and will always be perfect 10. Remember that. I won't say anything about the spoilers, but remember that. So, your main event for tonight, No Way Jose versus the glorious one himself, Bobby Roode. These guys have a top-notch match, actually. Pretty good. Well, it's not like a huge, oh my god, this is amazing match, but a really good match. I actually went over a commercial, so I think it's the only one of the matches that actually got split over like that. Roode got the win. Interestingly, with an Impaler DDT, so not a Glorious Bomb. So I don't know what we call that. I don't know if it's a implant DDT. You might call it the Bobby Buster. I'm not sure. Probably might not make sense, but something to do with Rude. I'm trying to think. No, I'm not going to say Rude Awakening. But yeah, Bobby wins. That's where we finish that. Straight after that, of course, if you weren't watching Lucha Underground, you had the finale of Cruiserweight Classic. And man, the fact that Meltzer gave the televised matches of this show no less than 3.5 or 3 3/4 stars. You know, all round, this was a very solid show. One thing to note, before the Cruiserweight Classic, there was a tag match with the Bollywood Boys beating Sean Maluta and Martin Stone. That's interesting because I don't think Martin was even in the Classic tournament anyway, so good job, Martin. Good filler on the dark match. So, video packages galore. Everybody's saying, oh, it'd be great if I won. It would mean everything. So we get into the matches itself. First up, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Gran Metalik in the first of the semi-finals, as previously said. Wow. Really top-notch match. These guys were doing a heck of a lot. I can't go into too much detail as to like the moves, but I mean, I'm saying it now. You need to watch all 4 of these matches from the CWC because they were just mwah, 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 mwah. It's a technical term, probably. Eventually, though, that culminates with Sabre trying to put on a triangle choke, but Metalik escapes. Tries to go for a near fall with a bridge, but Sabre gets out of that. And Sabre charges at Metalik. Metalik just grabs him, hits the Metalik driver, 3 count. Gran Metalik is going to the final. He gets a medal off Regal, which is a bit weird. And then we get the ring announcing. I think it was Charlie, the girl. I can never know the name. I never know the identity of these people. Imagine this is a microphone. And it was like, so, I'm here in the ring with the finalist, Gran Metalik. Now, what's your mindset now going into the finals? And they pass the mic to a Mexican translator. And he's then gives his response and then goes, thank you. I guess, trying to say thank you for the fans for supporting in him. But then Charlie, rather than pass the mic or move the mic back to the translator to know what Metalik said, just then went straight into our next question. It's like, no. This is the only negative point of this show. Charlie did not want to respect the Mexican language. She clearly wants to build a wall or something. These are not her views. These are just what I'm thinking because the way that whatever happened with this segment, because it went bad. Then he's asked about strategy of not knowing his opponent. Again, goes to the translator to say it so Metalik can understand. And then gives a response, and I think, like, at the end goes, I want to win CWC. And again, Charlie is ignoring the translator and goes, well, good luck for the rest. Good luck in the final tonight against whoever it may be. It's like, Charlie, you're already saying, yes, sod this guy. Like, yeah, this is not a good thing to do. We then have the hype for the Raw stuff, and then Gargano and Ciampa in the back asked how they doing, and no, it wasn't by Enzo and Gaz. And Johnny goes, well, we've both been cleared, we're ready to go. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn was a heck of a moment, and the CWC for them has been a heck of a moment. And no offense to Noam Dar and Cedric Alexander, and I'm pretty sure they promised a title match, and now they're not giving us it. I don't know what's going on. But, no offense to Dar and Alexander, but Revival's number one on our list. Revival's scared, and we are going to give E Tag Champs. Then we go into the second semi-final. Ibushi versus TJ Perkins. Another hell of a match between these guys. Wow. Really did well. So many great spots and false finishes. The fact that Ibushi hits the Golden Star Powerbomb. Perkins kicks out at 2.999. Just beautiful. Eventually finish, though, with Perkins managing to lock on an STF. And just to make sure, hits his chin lock as well at the same time. And Ibushi has to tap out. TJ Perkins, it takes on Metalik in your main event. Again, Charlie asks the questions afterwards and says, he didn't expect to only be in one match. So, he's ready for the finals. But he needs to focus a little more, and if it all goes right, he'll be winning. Tempting fate there, aren't you, son? Am I putting that there for a reason? Then Cedric Alexander in the back, saying, Gnome saying, hey, me and Cedric are making history anyway. We're tagging for the first time. We might have to be on the same page for the free count. Or they only have to be on the same page for the free count. And then, they can beat the shit out of each other on Raw or something. And Cedric's like, some people might say beating Gargano and Ciampa might be an upset, but considering we know how good both of us are, it's no surprise that we could get the win. They're not saying we are going to win. It was a cocky confidence, but not a cocky false confidence sort of thing. Like, yeah, we're not outsiders. We're on the same level as them. So they're sort of like saying it's not like a 90-10 odds. It's sort of a 50-50. But it's not in their favour either. So, they're being realistic. So then we have the other CWC, or some of the CWC competitors at ringside, like Rich Swann and Jack Gallagher and Bayley. Wait, she was in the CWC? Missed that. So then we get Gargano and Ciampa versus Dar and Alexander. Very good tag match. I think you can sort of tell that Cedric knows Ciampa from Ring of Honor and AAW and quite a few other promotions that Cedric and Tommaso have been competing at over the years. Dar has been with Ciampa, I think, a little bit over the last year or so. I don't know how much obviously Gargano teamed with Alexander for trios, but the guys sort of know each other pretty well, so they put on a very good match, obviously. Finishing off with the Gargano lawn dart into the turnbuckle. Then Ciampa tagging in, the running knee super kick combination, and Gargano and Ciampa win. And then basically gesture to say with the belts going, it's our time, son. It's our time. So then we get William Regal basically saying, you know, he's asked, like, what was it like being trained by Marty Jones? And then Regal goes, I met the original Tiger Mask before he was Tiger Mask. It's like, well, way to ruin that identity if people didn't know the original Tiger Mask. And Regal says, you know, both these finalists have cemented their legacy as warriors of the Mat Wars. Who needs Mat Wars when you can have Dar Wars? Da, 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 da. No, it's good. Enough. And Corey shows up and says he's looking forward to tonight. Ibushi was the favourite by many, but TJP caused the upset. Lots of other things. So then they have some highlights of the semi-finals, and TJP and Metalik come back out. But then, just as we're about to get underway, Time to Play the Game rings out, and Triple H comes to the ring and says, tonight we're making history. You know, we started with 32 at the best. We're down to 2. But we're looking for the one. The one to be the best cruiserweight in the world. The one that will be the winner of the first Cruiserweight Classic. But we're also looking for the one. And the crowd goes apeshit because they notice it's a leather bag. And here comes the leather bag being opened, and out comes the new WWE Cruiserweight Championship belt. It doesn't look too bad. The purple strap, I mean, I get because of the colour of the branding for CWC, but I mean, I'm sort of sick of all these coloured straps and coloured things. Can't it just be like a traditional sort of black or a white? Why does it have to be like purple? Who knows? So, yes, all of a sudden, you're not just winning a trophy for how the hell do you carry that home? You're getting a belt because obviously whoever wins is going to be on Raw as the champion for the division. And unsurprisingly, Metalik and Perkins have an awesome match. Really beautiful. Eventually culminating with Perkins pulling Metalik off the turnbuckles as he was going for a super Metalik driver. But puts on the knee bar, grapevine the leg. And at that point, Metalik has to tap out. And the winner of the CWC and the first Cruiserweight champion of the new era, if you want to call it that. Because I can't say first ever, because I feel dirty for all the old Cruiserweight talents. But the first champ of the new era is TJ Perkins. And obviously, Charlie's there asking the questions afterwards. And he goes, well, all this time I've kept a key on my necklace, which was for the last place that I lived before I was homeless for a while. Now, that was a place he couldn't go back to. Now it's a reminder of a place that he doesn't have to go back to, because he's won. Now, he searched for inspiration and looked at his heroes. And it means the world for him to be able to inspire people. But this whole thing, it's bigger than him. It's not one person, this trophy and this title. It's 32 people. You know, they're all his peers, they're all his equals. And every one of them is his hero. And that's how the show ends. It was brilliantly put together, very well done. Moore and Daniel, great on commentary as ever. Long live CWC, let's hope it's back in 2017. And then, I have to bring up this. So, back in October last year, TJP, at that time, signed for some company called Impact Wrestling which ironically is next, tweeted, "For the record, Impact Wrestling fans, I don't have an identity crisis. I want to be TJ Perkins. It's just not up to me." Because, of course, this was at the time he was manic / suicide / that persona. Because Manic had unmasked for some reason, and he could have been TJ Perkins, but he wasn't. Yeah, and as he said, he wants to be TJP, but it's the bookers that make the decisions, not him. Josh Matthews had to do that cheesy grin for anything he's involved with. Replies, "So go away, bro. Just go. Enough. Tag all the executives and go." And this guy that, apparently Impact didn't want just became the guy that they desperately need because he's champion. And has proven himself against a heck of a load of people in the lineup of matches, from the 32 to the 16 to the 8 to the 4 to the 2. And then the 1. Behind the 1 of the 32. No other one. Oh, and the other annoying fact about that is, for Josh's credibility, again, that cheesy, yeah, what credibility? Smile! Josh apparently only deleted that "go away bro" tweet a few days before the CWC happened. I think. In which case, beautifully awkward. Speaking of that, TNA. We've got 2 episodes to go through. I'm not going to go on too long, which means I am. Delete or Decay. We had Senor Benjamin basically going, "Don't try anything you see tonight at home." And then Vanguard 1 comes in and goes, "No animals were harmed in the documentation of this invasion." So they recap Decay visiting the compound, and then an obsolete music video, Senor Benjamin's digging graves. Matt Hardy's in with the platoon and says it's time for exercises to get in touch with their primal instincts, and tells Senor Benjamin to prepare the personal zoo for visitation. So now we cut to the arena. Mike and Maria there, and Mike's like, "When I was young, Mom always told me." That was some song lyrics, wasn't it? "Don't bite the hand that feeds." And apparently, he's the only one that had a decent mother growing up, so because he should be TNA champ, and it's because of Moose. And he paid Moose. And apparently it wasn't good enough for Moose, because these fickle fans cheered him, and Moose thought, "Yeah, I can do this on my own." And he fired his ass. Yeah, and now Mike can focus on winning the title and nobody can stop him. Oh no, Dixie Carter's back. And goes, "Okay. The fans came here to watch Impact Wrestling, not as the miracle turns." It's like, wait, he's turning face? That doesn't make sense. And Bennett's like, "Look, nobody appreciated me or Maria since we got here. But I'm going to be champ. Nobody can do anything about it." And Dixie, of all people, goes, "I sort of question the decisions that you've made and how good they are for this company." Yeah? That grin's back. Why is this grin always associated with TNA? It just is. But she's adding him to the contract signing for the title match at Bound for Glory. Well, Bennett says, yeah, that's what should happen. And Dixie goes, "Well, You are going to Bound for Glory, but it's not for the title. And it's not with Lashley. It's not with EC3. And then it's Moose. Moose comes out, manages to grab Bennett, but Bennett's managed to escape and head to the back. And Moose is like, yeah. We then go to backstage. I think this is after commercial. Telling Dixie that they're not doing the match with Moose at Bound for Glory. So, tear the contracts up. And Dixie's like, well, as long as Maria's got that belt on her, she's got no power to make any decisions at all. So, don't worry. We'll sort out who you're going to face at Bound for Glory very soon. Very soon. Speaking of that, Divas tag action. Knockouts tag action. Who knows what tag action is? Gail, Kim and Jade versus Sienna and Ali. This is, it's an okay match, but it's just, I know how good Ali / Cherry Bomb is. And she's having to do this, I don't know how to wrestle gimmick. No! Please, just let Ali be Ali. Or let Ali be Cherry Bomb, I guess. And then a match like Gail, Kim and Jade versus Sienna / Allysin Kay and Ali / Cherry Bomb is going to be like, wow. This, women's revolution that's happening in WWE, it might also be happening in TNA. Just a thought. But, the interesting thing is Sienna wants her revenge, but Ali wants to get in this action as well. So she tags herself in. This is for the finish. Goes for a double axe handle on Jade, but accidentally hits Sienna with it. Sienna responds to this by hitting Ali with the silencer and basically walking out just to let Jade get the pin and just be done with it. So Gail, Kim and Jade win and actually console and help out Ali as she's trying to work out what the hell just happened. So we go to the back, Borash with Baron Corbin, Billy Corgan, and it goes like, what's the announcement? And Billy's like, this could change wrestling forever, but you gotta wait, just like everyone else, to find out what it is. And I'm like, this is gonna change wrestling. No, it ain't, is it? Let's be honest. So then the continuation, Delete or Decay. There is the director's cut version now, I think, on Impact's channel. It's probably worth checking out because, that's some weird shit. The Hardys are in the zoo to get in touch with the primal instincts. And he's collected the animals with the most resplendent souls in history. So he talks to a giraffe, who may or may not be George Washington. Part of me wonders, I get it, but also I don't get it. And that's the really annoying bit. I want to love this, just like Final Deletion, but this is going so weird and so crazy that it's just getting a case of you are just doing this to please yourselves rather than actual people watching, I would argue. Then we get the bit that was teased last week in one of the clips that got sent out to preview the thing, of Brother Nero having to go one-on-one with a kangaroo possessed with the spirit of Smoking Joe Frazier. Then Matt has got a cage of spot monkeys that he talks to, that are all named after members of the X Division. So there's a monkey named DJZ, there's an Eddie Edwards monkey, There's a Trevor Lee monkey. There's an Andrew Everett monkey. Oh my god. And then he introduces these monkeys to a recovering spot monkey, Brother Nero. And then afterwards they go and visit the pet tiger Genghis Khan. Apparently the Decay fleet's approaching. So we're building to that even more. So then Billy Corgan is in the ring and says, as the wrestling business changes, the one thing that always stays the same is the goal to be the best. So the King of the Mountain title's retired, and we are now going to have the TNA Grand Championship, which if you look at the belt, says the TNA World Grand Championship. What's going on? It's just even more a rip-off of bloody Shakara. So then Drew Galloway interrupts and says, look, if you're looking for a new champ, Billy, how about a guy that's 6'9", who can teach that, has 16 years of experience, just turned 31, makes the ladies swoon, apart from Taryn Terrell. And the men love the physicality. Well, it's just because you're not Timothy Thatcher, mate. Also, if you're wondering where Timothy Thatcher was for the Evolve shows, he was doing stuff in Germany. So the world champ for the brand was busy on other shows. Yeah, he's really going to get over now. He's truly like John Cena. He'll be champ forever and though people just hate him. And Corgan goes, I see what you're saying, Drew. And I think you'll appreciate what the new title's about. So then we get a video package explaining the rules. So the matches are going to be comprising of 3 rounds with 10 points of the up for grabs in each round, with 3 judges scoring it, and the matches can end any time by pinfall or submission. Or if it goes to 3 rounds, it will go to the judges' scorecards. And I'm like, so the big idea is UFCing / MMAing wrestling. We've got enough of a problem with wrestlers wanting to be MMA stars anyway. We don't want wrestling to be MMA style fights. Just a feeling. Just a feeling. So Billy's back saying, the first champ will be crowned at Bound for Glory. And Drew comes in and goes, you know what? When you use me to my best, I am the business. And then Aaron Rex, music's hit, and says, the fans are the business, not you. This all started over a title and ended with a cheap shot. I'm going to take you back to Scotland, Drew, in a medical helicopter. I don't know how that's going to make it over the Atlantic Ocean, but okay. And then Corgan's like, okay, hold your horses. You're both going to be in action. It's over, it's tonight, but you're both in the tournament. And Drew, your match is next. And he's taking on Monsieur Braxton Sutter. And first round goes 10-9 to Drew for all 3 cards. Then the second round goes split decision to Sutter, because 2 of them gave it 10-9 to him, and the other one gave it 10-9 to Drew. So technically, this is 1 round all, even though arguably it's 4 rounds to 2, because 3 of the judges in the first round gave it to Drew, and 1 in the second, and then 2 in the second for Braxton. So it should. This system needs to be made a bit more clear as to what's going on. Anyway, just as the third round, final round starts, Braxton goes for a spear, immediately gets countered, into a short pole driver, and then the Iron Maiden submission, and Drew Galloway progresses on. I'm not a fan of these rules. I don't think it's going to be... It's just the fact probably that it's been advertised as, you know, the thing that will change wrestling. It's not going to. It's something different, which I do like. But it's because it was like, this is going to change the business forever. You're all going to bloody love it. It's like, no. People that don't like MMA are not going to love this approach, are they? People that don't like British-style wrestling that actually, you know, have rounds aren't going to love it because they're going to go, oh, the match is over. Okay. Wait, they're still going? Interestingly, though, after that, we find out that backstage, Rockstar Spud attacked Braxton and tried to destroy his teeth, just like Braxton had accidentally done early on in the year. That's going to build to something which is more good old TNA. So now we're at a liquor store. What? Some redneck guy's got his brown bag and goes to drive off, but sees Rosemary staggering down the road. So he pulls up by her, stops, and says, "Do you need a ride?" And it's like, okay, we're now implying that Rosemary is gonna get raped. And then, thankfully, Abyss and Steve show up surrounding the truck. Rosemary attacks him. I guess we cut to black, I think. And then Decay are driving away in the truck. And redneck guy is lying unconscious in the street with his trousers, with his pants down. And just in his underwear. I can't do that hand gesture anymore because that's considered to be glorious. I guess I should do this. No. I mean, I sort of guess why they did this bit, but no. We then had the EC3 contract signing between Lashley and EC3. Very well done. They have a very good war of words. This is proving Lashley can do promos, but man, it needs to be done well. EC3, he's good at those things. So it culminates with the face-to-face photo op, but EC3 goes, yeah. I think, don't worry. The EC 3-time champion won't care about the one that is Lashley. They have a fight, pretty much honours even to some extent, until the fact that they're still fighting as we go back from commercial. Backstage, EC3 gets low. EC3 gets laid out by Bobby. And then they go outside the building. Lashley opens up the back of an ambulance and then throws EC3 through some wooden pallets and walks off. So I mean, he opened the ambulance not to get anything in there. So it's honestly a case of, so you open the door because, huh? I don't know. This is So then we've got Jesse Goddard talking about the Grand Championship. He's taking on Eli Drake in the next match, which is actually now. Amazingly, both these guys had a good match, which is surprising because, I just see Jesse as a talentless Big Brother wannabe. Wannabe wrestler from Big Brother. But he actually did pretty good job. He's clearly, whoever he's training and who's training him, they're doing a good job. And Eli did pretty well as well. The first round was pretty much all Jesse. One of the judges gave it, though, to Drake. Who knows? The second round was very interesting because Jesse manages to get the Adonis lock in, but as Eli's just about to tap, that bell rings and it's the end of the round. Again, though, one of the judges, despite the fact that it was more even, gave it to Eli. So I think this was a more fair one, but still, Jesse's ahead, I think. Because I don't know how that system works in terms of, is it 4 rounds to 2? Are we doing it like BattleBots? You know, like there's 9 points up for offer? I guess we'll have to see if we actually get things that actually go to the duration. Probably not. It finishes with Eli Drake hitting blunt force trauma with about 45 seconds left in the match. Eli Drake progresses on to the semi-truck finals. I mean, it's not semi-truck. And then, just as we're told Delete or Decay is happening now, is your life falling apart? Call the fixer. Call the fixer, Tyrus the Virus, Cyrus. Operators are standing by and it's cash only, baby. I'm pretty sure in this cashless economy that we're sort of now moving into, considering the internet and PayPal and Bitcoins and credit cards and debit cards, and the fact you want cash only, this sounds very, very criminal. And then, as if we're not going to get any more Delete or Decay, Aaron Rex is frustrated in the back. Like, he's determined to get his hands on Drew. Then Senor Benjamin reads us the advisory warning again, saying don't try any of this at home. And we're finally getting into the proper Delete or Decay. Ha ha! So Decay have come to the compound. Find Senor Benjamin digging graves for them. Benjamin holds up his shovel, holds up the shovel, which has got Delete on the back of it, and smiles at them. They head toward Matt's house, see him holding his son inside, and then a spider is on a web. So they stare in the window and sing Hush Little Baby at King Max. So it's like, right. And Matt basically tells them, I knew you'd come. Leads them out to the battlefield. And then Nero and Rebby are there with firework launchers. Decay flee. But then take a break so Matt can send Rebby back to the castle to take care of King Maxwell. Then continue firing on Decay. Hiding behind the dilapidated boat. And then Abyss tells both Steve and Rosemary, get to the house. And keeps hold of the boat, basically as cover, until Nero runs up, drop kicks it on Abyss, sending him into the lake. And then Senor Benjamin tells Jeff, Nero, whatever, I have to get the boat for Matt. And Matt's tracking Decay. So Senor Benjamin gets the boat on the shore of the lake and is texting Matt. And then Joseph Park, the creature from the Black Lagoon, comes out of the lake. Yes, that Joseph Park in the suit and everything. That's a key thing to note. And goes, oh, I loved you in the final deletion. By the way, have you seen my brother Chris? Abyss? And Senor Benjamin is like, yes, I have. And Joseph's like, oh, thank you for helping me. And then Senor Benjamin tases him, laughing away, like only Senor Benjamin can, as in not anything normal. And then carries Joseph Park away with a bulldozer. Where's the crack? Because, holy shit. I guess this is a match, but obviously isn't. I mean, it's something. So then Crazy Steve is attacking Nero. Tries to throw him in the fire by a pool. But Nero manages to hit him with a gourd-buster into the pool. They fight underwater then. Meanwhile, Matt's tracking Rosemary through the woods. And then Senor Benjamin dumps Abyss in his grave. Suddenly, Joseph Park has become Abyss now. Even though they're supposed to be different people. Laughing maniacally, as ever. Nero then chokes out Crazy Steve in the pool. Climbs out to take a deep breath. Steve shows up behind him, drags him back into the pool. Benjamin's now getting ready to bury Joseph when Abyss pops out the grave, so he's changed back, goozles him, and then chokes him unconscious. Meanwhile at the pool, Nero chokes Steve out with an inflatable pool toy and hobbles away. I mean, you could write this. I wouldn't recommend you do. But then Steve climbs out the pool. The face paint, which went off because he was in the water, magically reappears, and he's back after him. Matt's found Rosemary, but Abyss has Janice, and shows up as well, and tells Rosemary to go get her baby. And so Abyss pursues Matt, and Matt says, Janice is nothing but vermin. Abyss swings at her. Nero then shoves him out the way and takes the full brunt of Janice to the gut. And Matt's like, that was so unselfish. And then Decay has him cornered. It's looking bad, son. It's looking bad. And then Vanguard shows up. Vanguard 1, firing rockets off it. Apparently the flames firing off it then managed to light up a Hardy symbol on the lawn, which is somehow some sort of magic barrier that manages to keep Abyss and Steve trapped. Meanwhile, back at the Hardy Hassle, Rebby's out on the floor, Rosemary's escaping with Maxwell, but Vanguard 1 shows up and goes, not so fast! Put the boy down, witch! Hello, Robocop! Wait, what? And Rosemary goes, okay, puts him down. And then Vanguard tells Maxwell to run. And Rosemary spits miss at Vanguard 1. And the miss knocks the drone out. And he's offline. So Rosemary then goes looking for Maxwell. But then comes face to face with Matt. And goes, you've crossed the line that you can never return from. Rosemary laughs. Mists. But then Matt inhales the mist that she sprayed out and sprays it right back at Rosemary, who screams and is in agony and everything. Maxwell and Rebby then come running and have a big family hug as Brother Nero's dead. Senor Benjamin's got dumped into Decay's truck, kidnapped. That's Delete or Decay. That's September 8th edition of Impact. What the fuck? Oh, I didn't want to swear, but yeah. Don't worry though. We've got a second episode of Impact to do, and it's the follow-up. As the road to Big Friendly Giant continues. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I just read BFG. So Matt Hardy, to open the show for this one, is lamenting the fact that everything nearly got destroyed, and the fact that, you know, Senor Benjamin and Brother Nero are gone, and, you know, they're his family. Matt's pushing Brother Nero in a chair with wheels to the lake of reincarnation that will regenerate his mortal flesh, and pleads with the gods to regenerate him. And tosses Jeff into the lake. And he comes back alive, wearing a shirt and tie, carrying the Jeff Hardy TNA World Title ugly ass shit belt, and goes, "The champ is back. You can't see me." This was the one bit that actually made me go, okay, this bit's gold. Because then Matt goes, ugh, throws him back in the water. And then he comes back out of the water, and he's back to being Brother Nero. That one little swipe at WWE was enough to make it, okay, at least we have one good bit that is, like, not crazy, but awesome. Like, I still don't know what to make of this whole Delete, Decay, and Aftermath that I've had to witness. This premonition. Ah. Making lots of weird faces. Oh dear. You know, Matt will delete Decay and render them obsolete. You know, it's one member of the Hardy House is back, and now we need to save Vanguard 1. So then we cut away from that fun to Lashley in the ring saying, you know, EC3 just got laid out. He wants to be the face of Impact Wrestling. I smashed it. So there's now no main event for Bound for Glory. You know, Jeremy Borash, because I guess he's there with him, interviewing him. He's like, "Do you want to face me?" And he's like, "Look, if that happened, it'd be a joke, you know. Just as if, like, anybody else came out to take me on, because it'd be a massacre." And then Grado shows up. And Lashley like, "What the hell are you doing here, man?" And Grado's like, "I've known Borash for years, and with respect, he's a much bigger joke than I will ever be." She's like, "Damn, Borash. People did not like your WCW work." But he has a good time and likes to make people laugh, and likes making EC3 laugh, because he's his friend. And after what Lashley did to him, he wants to prove that he's no joke, and thinks that Lashley did what he did because he's a coward. And he's like, "I'm not scared of hurting anybody." And Grado's like, "Yeah, you may be champ, but you've been beaten before. I think you can be beaten again." And Lashley murders him. And he's like, "Will anybody learn that nobody in this company can beat me?" And then Moose comes in, and they just go start fighting. But Lashley bails, and then Moose goes, "So you don't fear anybody, and you say you can't be beaten. Newsflash, 1, I'm going to beat you, and 2, I'm going to whoop your ass. You know, everyone wants to see us fight, so if I've got to come back there and drag your ass out to the ring at some point, I'm going to do it. I'll beat the hell out of you." So then Aaron is backstage saying, "You know, I didn't know if I'd ever be in a wrestling ring again, but I've now rediscovered my love for the business. I've adapted to everything that's been thrown in my way. Drew's had plenty of opportunities after another. I've had to create a more of mine. I'll go after I have to get through to get to Drew. And we'll see the difference between someone that complains and someone who gets it done later." Then Lashley's like, whoa. you can't just demand, I guess, to the interviewer that's there, which you never see. You don't just demand a title shot. I'm a fighting man, so the answer to Moose's question of whether I want to fight him is no, because fighting him is going to be bad for your health, Moose. So there you go. Fact. So, first match. By the way, if you did notice, there was only technically 3 matches on that other episode of Impact. 3. Plot, anyone? Plot? So, first match of this show, Rex versus Lee in the Grand Championship. Decent first round, which Rex wins 2-1. But in the second round, Aero managed to block a Fisherman's Buster, knocks Lee, or hits Lee with a roaring elbow, and gets the 3 count. So first one that's gone beyond, first one that hasn't reached the 3rd round, that match there. That's impressive. So now Borash backstage with Maria and says, I always find a way to get what I want, and don't worry, I also won't ruin Gail Kim's induction ceremony. And Jeremy's like, no, the induction ceremony is happening at Bound for Glory, and goes, no, it's tonight. You tell Gail. So we're back to Hardy compound. Matt Hardy's combing the woods, looking for Vanguard 1, and sees him hanging from the branches. Rushes over, petrified, like, what is going on? Ugh. And screams in agony, don't leave me. And begs the 7 deities to take the evil essence from Brother Nero and use it to bring Vanguard 1 back. And then we get, like, the video history playing of him helping Senor Benjamin with yard work and beating him at chess, among other things. And then, Vanguard 1 is alive and well. And Matt's like, Vanguard 1, find Senor Benjamin. And he's like, Vroom. So, now we get to Maria in the ring. And says, everyone's talking about somebody else. And the fans chant for Ali. It's like, no, she's stupid and useless, just like all of you. Everyone's talking about Gail Kim. So, brings Gail Kim out and goes, who the hell do you think you are? I'm the Knockouts champion. Something you wish you can be, but you never will be again. Don't worry, I'll do you a favour, though. And I'll induct you into the Hall of Fame, so you don't overshadow me at Bound for Glory. So here's a video highlight package that I've put together for you. And basically, every single clip is Maria beating the crap out of Gail. And Maria's loving it. And then there's a speech, of course, afterwards, saying, she wrote a speech for Gail to say, hi, I am Gail Kim, and Maria is better than me. She also picked out a perfect gift for her, and it's a picture of Maria with a championship belt. And Ali's like, well, actually, I got a proper gift for you, Gail, because I think, you're the best female wrestler ever. And just as about she's to hand it over, Maria, like, smacks it out of the way, smashes the box, that whatever is in it. It's like, oh, have you lost your mind? I can't wait until I never have to see your ugly face again, Gail. Oh no, Dixie Carter's back. Holy shit, when will this woman ever learn? And Dixie's like, well, you must not have heard the news, because remember I said last week you having the Knockouts title and running the division is a bit of a conflict of interest? Spoilers, Gail's going into the Hall of Fame at Bound for Glory. And she gets a Knockouts title shot as well. And just to make that happen, we're going to have a gauntlet match tonight. And whoever wins that will take you on, Maria. And Gail's like, I'm going to kick your ass, bitch. I'm going to kick your ass. So then they recap Spud attacking Braxton. And now we have the empty arena, no turnbuckles, just bare wires and joins match. So we are fighting in the building when nobody's there. Apparently the reasoning behind this, according to Josh, or at least he was the spokesperson for it, they had to evacuate the fans because of how out of hand this fight could get. This was so out of hand that they had to bleep something out. So I don't know whether somebody actually did swear. Who knows? All that happens is basically finishes with Sutter drilling Spud in the teeth a few times, whips him into the corner a couple of times, which are obviously because these are exposed turnbuckles. And Braxton goes, I'm going to remember, you're going to remember me, and smacks his face straight into the exposed turnbuckle, gets the 3 count. You know, Spud's got that craft blood coming out of his mouth, not the hard way, clearly the fake way. And the crowd, of course, you know, there's nobody there, so kind of like quite often a TNA crowd at most shows, from what I can tell. Unless Jeremy Borash goes, say something, you fuckers! Ah! Meanwhile, we're back to Vanguard 1. Who found Senor Benjamin tied up in a shack with decay painted across his forehead. And Senor Benjamin's like, what took you so long, Vanguard 1? And Vanguard 1 replies, don't worry, I will go attain the help of Matt. So Matt follows Vanguard back to the shack, saves Benjamin, and says, get the weapons ready, because there will be a battle at Bound for Glory. Then Moose is backstage, you know, having a laugh over the fact that, you know, he thinks that a fight with Lashley will be bad on his health, because the night that Moose showed up, he knocked the hell out of Lashley. And whether he likes it or not, he's going to accept it or keep running off like a bitch. So then we get another recap of Delete or Decay. And the Hardys and Rebby are in the ring. And Matt's going, well, we were involved in a war last week. One the entire world is speaking about right now. I tell you, compared to Final Deletion, they weren't. They really weren't. Sorry, they really weren't. They survived, but so did Decay. But now this has become much more massive than a fight, because they committed blasphemy against Senor Benjamin. They attempted to kidnap King Maxwell, and now must be sentenced to deletion. The Hardys are going to take the tag titles back, and they will be deleted. And delete chants galore. Then Decay show up. Rosemary's stuck up in the camera nest, going, King Maxwell deserves a family that isn't broken. One that he can embrace his true self and Decay. You'll never get your hands on the belts. Because once we get our hands on what we want, they cause Decay. That's why Bram is gone. It's like, oh, we're finally bringing that guy up. Okay, thanks. He wouldn't submit to Decay. Then Abish shows up and goes, The title's beautiful, just like the Decay. The Hardys will never experience the beauty of the belts. Then Crazy Steve, somewhere in the crowd, and goes, your obsession with the gold is mind-boggling, because we have something much more satisfying for you to accept. Your own destruction and decay. And Matt goes, death is not the end. Don't we know that? I don't know why I glanced over there thinking there was a second camera. You know, Matt says, you know, don't we know that, Matt? Death's not the end. You know, the vessels may one day perish, but the souls will live for all eternity. Decay can bring all the agony and decay that they can muster. It'll only make us stronger. And then Nero gets the mic saying, you failed to take my nephew, or the way of living. We may be broken, but we will survive, and render all of you obsolete at Bound for Glory. And Matt then goes, well, this has gone far beyond a mere wrestling match. So I think you should accept and let the entire world be the battlefield, and challenges them to the insanity of the Great War. So implying this match could be happening in multiple countries. Possibly. Which would be ironic if it's just in the Impact Zone. And Abyss goes, wait, Matt. Don't you realise that we thrive on wars? Does this mean, you know, that we can fight into the depths of hell? Does this mean we can fight into the heavens? This sounds good. Let's do it. And Rosemary's like, you know, the Hardys will decay, Maxwell will join his true family, not his obsolete uncle, broken father, and unfit mother. Then I don't know whether the Decay group has moved somewhere, but whatever happens, Rebby beats the crap out of her. And oh no, because I guess she disappeared somewhere or something. I don't know, but the Hardys clear Decay out. Rebby even hits a twist of fate on Rosemary and delete chants galore. Huh? Bennett finds Lashley backstage and says, you know, don't let Moose talk to you like that. You're the champ. And Lashley's like, look, you just want to get Moose beaten up so he'll be softened up at Bound for Glory. But I'm going to beat his ass tonight. And then I might come back and take care of your ass as well. It's like, awkward. So it's time for the number one contenders gauntlet match for the Knockouts title. Jade, Gail Kim, Madison Rayne, Ali, Marty Bell, Sienna, and Madison Rayne to take part. So first up, number ones and two are Jade and Ali. But Maria then tells Ali she's not in this match because she's not a wrestler. Do I need to keep stressing this, TNA? Stop using her like a dumb bitch and present her as the talented wrestler that she is. Because, spoilers, she gets replaced by, I think the name they used was Laurel Vaness, a.k.a. Chelsea Green. Yes, her off Tough Enough. And let's just say, she's alright, but she's no cherry bomb. Can you tell I'm miffed? Anyway, in terms of order of who comes in, Sienna's in at 3, Gail's number 4, Marty's in at 5, Raquel's in at 6, and Madison Rayne's in last. So she clearly has the advantage because she hasn't been working as long. As soon as we come back from break, we're getting the finisher spots. It's like, right? But then Laurel Vaness dumps Madison out to score the first elimination. So I guess this is not just pinfall submission, it's also battle royal style. Then Jade gets knocked out by Marty. Then Laurel throws Marty out. So Laurel, in her first match in ever existing, has already eliminated a former Knockouts champ and Marty Bell. Sorry, Marty, but no. If you become Knockouts champion, you seriously need to get better. Then Raquel gets eliminated by Sienna. Raquel didn't really do a huge amount. Didn't do too bad, but not a huge amount, which probably was sensible. So we're down to 3. Sienna, Laurel, and Gail. So the interesting thing is Maria gets on the apron when we're down to the final 3 and yells at Sienna. But then Ali tries to climb up on the apron at Maria's orders because he's like to cause a distraction as well. But manages to pull them up pull them apart in such a fashion just so that Gail can throw Laurel out. So Gail and Sienna are your final 2. And Ali's getting everything ripped into her and whatever. But eventually, and now all of a sudden, because it's normal rules, Gail hits Eat Defeat, gets the win. There you go. Oh, Maria's scared shitless. Ali's like, yeah, this is awesome, man. Straight after the commercial, we then get into the final match of the tournament. Eddie Edwards versus Mahabali Shera. Yeah, apparently this is a match. So, first round unanimously goes to Eddie. Really does well. Shera then, knowing that he's on the back foot, sort of dominates round 2, going for a leg submission just as time runs out on round 2. So that round goes to a split decision. So it's one set all. If this was tennis, where's that gone? I dropped something. Oh, yeah, my credibility by watching TNA. Yeah, this is the promise of editing, ladies and gentlemen. That and any. I don't even know whether I'm still recording. I probably am. The file's going to be bloody big for Owen to deal with. Sorry, Owen. I'm still nowhere near finishing. It's like, damn. Damn, son. Edwards eventually manages to get a half crab submission, the submission win in the 3rd round. So yeah, that's your semi-finals set with him, Aaron, Galloway, and Drake. Aaron, of course, the only one that actually finished it in the 2nd round or before. So there you go. So main event, Moose comes out to the ring. Lashley comes to the top of the ramp. And he's like, no, I only fight in the big venues. So he basically offers him, right, do you want it to be Lashley versus Moose? Because, I'm all for it. And Moose goes, nah, I can't wait. Fight galore. Back and forth. One pretty impressive spot when Moose manages to lift Lashley off the ring mat to the top rope by the throat, but then Bennett runs in attacks Moose from behind. Of course, Moose no sells because he's WWE material. And then, as Lashley and Bennett join in, EC3's music hits, ribs taped and everything, and stops Lashley destroying Moose, but then Bennett hits EC3 from behind. EC3 no sells that, takes both him and Lashley out with a double clothesline. Bada boom, not realist guys in the room. That's the show. So four matches on that one, with sort of that main event segment, if you want to call it a match. So yeah, we had one more match technically, but I mean, the amount of story that we're getting for a show that's about wrestling is a bit... Ugh. So let's go to proper wrestling. Even though there's only 2 matches on the show, much better overall. Ring of Honor from last Monday, at least on the Fight app, and last Wednesday on Comet TV or whatever. Opening up with the 6-man with Lethal, Naito, and Evil versus Page, Cole, and Yujiro. Very good back and forth match between these two, actually. Although, interestingly, from what I remember, basically Naito and Evil just turn on Jay Lethal. Because Naito poses in the ring, refusing to tag in Jay when he wants Cole. So Lethal force tags him, and Naito doesn't like it. And then Lethal then wants to go, you know, he wants to get the save and whatever. And Naito's like, yeah, come on, man, come on, I want to tag. And just as Lethal goes, he's like, oh, too bad. During this time, you know, Lethal's getting attacked further. Naito says something to Jay, gets off the apron, says adios, because, you know, Los Ingonobles de Japón. And he and Evil disappear. So, yeah. Lethal's there like, I need to tag somebody after commercial. He's getting laid out. But then Michael Elgin's music comes out and says, I want in. And Nigel goes, okay, you're going to replace Naito in this match. And you know, he gets pretty dominant, but that overall, because it's still 3-on-2, Bullet Club overpower, and Page and Yujiro managed to pick up Elgin. Cole's going to do some turnbuckle jump shenanigans, but before he can do anything, Kyle's music hits, and he wants in the match as well, and Nigel's like, considering Evil left, you replace him. So then we get a brawl. Kyle pretty much doing everything in this once he gets tagged in. Forearms between him and Adam. Knees to the head, kicks, running forearm, tornado DDT, the brainbuster. But then the finish itself comes with Lethal and Yujiro tagging in, exchanging forearms. Lethal hits a bicycle kick, an O'Connor roll for a near fall, and then lethal injection. And Lethal, Naito / Elgin and Evil / O'Reilly win. And then we come back. Lethal's pacing behind Kevin Kelly at the announce table. And Jay goes, it's one thing to have to watch your back because your enemies are everywhere, but it's another thing when your friends stab you in the back. Naito's made the biggest mistake of his life. You know, a point where he will do anything to himself or his opponent to become the #1 guy in the company. This is the point that you chose to attack. Don't worry, this will be resolved sooner rather than later. Ring of Honor UK tour? Well, probably not. Are they going to Japan in October for Destruction? Probably not, because he's facing Elgin. Naito, that is. I don't know. Anyway. Nigel goes, okay. Jay, you've earned it. All-Star Extravaganza. September 30th. It's going to be you versus Naito. I already had the answer. I'd like it to be on the UK tour just because it happened here. And then Nigel says, look, remember what happened the last time you begged for a match? It didn't go out your way, so be careful, man. And then your final match, because there's only 2 matches on here, but 1, it's only an hour, and 2, it was basically just matches for most of it. Shibata versus Fish for the TV title. Really solid match between these two, as you'd expect. Stiff fest galore. Finishing, the finish built with Shibata going for a cross arm breaker. Fish, though, managed to roll up Shibata. Then Fish goes for the arm bar himself. Shibata then returns the cross arm breaker. Fish manages to escape. Shibata takes Fish to the mat, but then Fish, with a sneaky roll-up pre-count, and retains the title. It's also worth noting that during this match, Musha Prince Nana came to the commentary table to monitor this. He was on commentary, but also to monitor the match. I think clearly for his man. Because Prince Nana leaves while Fish celebrates, and then Donovan Dijak appears, basically looking on, pretty much, because I think Dijak did win a TV title shot somewhere down the line, so I'm guessing that's probably going to be the All-Star Weekend match for that title. Afterwards, though, Fish and Shibata face-to-face, and Shibata and Fish sort of acknowledge, we need to go one more time. And Fish is like, yeah. I don't know whether that's the New Japan match that's coming up, or whether it's for the TV title, who knows, but it's happening one more time, everybody. And then, just as we're about to finish, Nigel McGuinness announces that next week, after his disappearance, may or may not have been as Mr. Wrestling 3, Steve Corino will be returning to the commentary table. Because now we start the build to Kevin Sullivan ruins Ring of Honor Final Battle. Because I ain't got good hopes. Anyway, SmackDown in Philly. You know, AJ goes, hey look, the champ is here. You know, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. You know, I told you I was going to beat Cena. At SummerSlam, I beat the Cena. And I became the face that runs the place. Then I told you I was going to beat Dean and get the title. And guess what? That happened as well. And if I told you that I could beat Cena and Ambrose with an arm tied behind my back, it's the truth. It's gospel. You know, if I gave you the lottery numbers, you'd be a millionaire. If I tell you the sky is green, no need to look, man. It's green. You know, my hips do not lie. I am not, you know, I'm not only the face that runs the place, I am the champ that runs the camp. What? And then Cena's music plays. And he's like, sorry, mate. You got something that belongs to me. I want it back. And AJ goes, oh, I get it. Takes the wristband off his head, gives it to him, and goes, you know, with this on me, I don't need that. And Cena goes, you've still got something that belongs to me. And the bad news is, I want it back. Literally says it again. It's not like, the way I would have done it, it's like, you've still got the thing that belongs to me, and I want that as well. Not actually the same line. It's like, wow. One great man back in the day said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. You know, and if I can get that belt one more time, I'm in the conversation with that man. And it's like, here, there's like, are we teasing, like, the whole, look at me, I'm the greatest world champion ever, heel turn or something? Because at this point, it's like, you might as well go, yeah. But then again, I don't think there's anybody that's credible on that role. Then again, if you look at it, you've got Dean that's supposedly face at the minute. Bray, who's I don't know. Orton, who's I don't know. So Cena, possibly heel? You know, might work. Never know. But he couldn't think of a better person to make history of than AJ. You know, he's the face that runs the place. I'm the man who doesn't quit. The goal to become the 16-time champ starts here. But then Dean Ambrose comes out and gets in AJ's face going, you made the biggest mistake of your life, boy. I can handle losing the title, but you kicked me in the balls to win. You know, you made an enemy out of me. And when that happens, nothing's the same. I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to take the belt and do it with interest and bury you in the ground. And John's like, what? You're complaining about hanging AJ by his crotch on the ropes and then, you know, you took a low blow? Wow, Austin was right. You really don't have balls. And then Dean's like, well, you must be mistaking me for somebody who gives a damn about what you say. Or what anybody says. You know, you're a lazy part-timer. You're better off doing other TV shows and other movies and other talk shows because you can't hang with me. WWE uses you for the media appearances, but you can't get it done in the ring. You couldn't even get past this jump at SummerSlam, so how the hell are you going to beat him? So then Shane comes out. Remember, guys, this is about wrestling, not about the managers. Shane comes out and goes, hey, I was in the back, heard the emotion and heard the passion here, so I had to come out. AJ and Cena, you tore the house down at the SummerSlam. And AJ, you beat him clean. That's a huge accomplishment. Now, I don't like saying that you're the face that run the place, but you earned it by beating Cena. And the fact of the matter is, AJ and Dean, you tore the house down at Backlash. But AJ took the easy way out to win. And that isn't how I saw a new champ to be crowned. But I have to admit it, AJ's the champ. And says, Dean, you'll get your one-on-one rematch, but not now. Because at No Mercy, it's going to be AJ versus Cena versus Ambrose in a triple threat. So Shane goes, well, no emotions are going to be bonkers. You used the word bonkers. So Cena and Ambrose will be in a tag match against AJ Styles and a partner of his choosing. And Shane goes, if you can't find a tag partner, me as GM can find one for you. Or sorry, no. Shane as GM. No, Daniel Bryan as GM. That's why I'm bloody confused. What's going on? Anyway, first match, Usos versus the Hype Bros of Ryder and Rawley. Okay match. Jimmy gets the win. The Usos get the win with Jimmy giving a super click to Mojo, and then Jay after getting tagged in, hitting a frog splash to get the win. Then Maurice is in the back with Miz. Then Kurt Hawkins advises us some more facts of him, but then announces that it's time to face the facts. So I guess he's on next week, I guess. Makes his proper return debut. So Miz comes out with Maurice and says for weeks, Bryan, Ziggler, and most of the WWE Universe has been calling him a coward. You know, you can say that what you want. I'm still champion with my wife by my side. You know, I walked out of Backlash, wife on my side, title on my shoulder. You know, I've held the title longer than Pat Patterson, longer than Triple H, and, longer than Dolph Ziggler. I've made it more prestigious than it ever was. So Dolph interrupts and goes, that's a funny thing. You know, trying to act like you're the champ, because deep down inside, no matter what you do, any superstar in the back who's laughed, you know why. WWE Universe will never see you as a top guy. Never be a true main eventer. They'll always see through you. This coming from the guy that's never even had an opportunity in Ziggler. Really. And Miz goes, I'm the main event of every show I'm on. If I lived and died based on the fans, put me 6 feet under. Just like your career, Dolph. Oh, damn. And Dolph goes, look, I'm at a crossroads. Miz is crushing it. But there will always be that asterisk by your name, just like that win at Backlash. You know, you really want to earn respect? One more match. No gimmicks, no stipulations, no valets, no girlfriends, no wives, no Maurice, no stunt doubles. Just you and me, one-on-one. And Maurice is like, you need to, let's make it sure. You want another match? You actually want another match? Say it again. And Daniel Bryan's music and goes, geez, Maurice, shut the hell up. You know, Maurice, you interfered. And with respect, that's the only reason Miz is still champ. Dolph is getting his rematch. Miz is there like, Dolph didn't earn the right to become a number one contender. He doesn't deserve a rematch. I want my contract renegotiated. And until I get what I want, Daniel won't be getting what he wants. The title will not be put on the line until I get my demands. I'll be calling my own shots. There's nothing that Bryan can do about it. So, AJ Styles is in the back, looking for a partner. Sees Baron Corbin, Billy Corbin. And Baron's like, what do you want? And AJ's like, look, I know you got a match against Apollo Crews, but do you want to be my partner tonight? Baron Corbin's like, I'd rather take you on than partner up with you. It's like, Baron's supposed to be face? What? What? Anyway, we get Corbin versus Crews. But before the bell even rings, Corbin attacks Apollo, hitting End of Days on the floor. Basically just exactly the sort of same thing as Nia Jax. Big finish spot happening outside the ring. However, then Jack Swagger's music plays. I'm like, what? And Corbin leaves the ring, apparently scared by an all-American reject. And says, call me Jumpin' Jack Flash, Because as of 1 minute past midnight, I became a free agent. And guess what? SmackDown hired me. You may think you know about my abilities in the ring, but you don't know Jack. This guy. I don't know whether I feel sorry for him or weed. Forget everything you know about Jack. I'm going to be a big, big problem. Well, it's a big problem. I don't know. So, Becky Lynch in the ring with Charlie Caruso. And he's like, has it sunk in yet that you're champ? And Becky's like, it's sort of fitting the first place that Becky Balboa shows off the title. It's in Philly. You know, I had the fight of my life against the other 5 women. But eventually, there was one left. It was me. I'm the first SmackDown Women's Champ. And there's a saying, the journey is greater than the destination. But they never went on my journey and never ended up at this destination. But, you know what? I'm a fighting champ. So, come at me. So, here we go. It's the other 5. Natalya, Nikki Bella, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, and Carmella. In a 5-way, 1-4, to find a number 1 contender to Becky. Pretty decent match between the two. Interesting finish though. Nikki goes for the TKO. Carmella kicks Nikki out. I think I know it was a low kick to Nikki, but then Alexa throws Carmella out, gets the 3 count, steals the pin, and Alexa Bliss is your number 1 contender. What? So AJ still in the back, looking for a partner, finds Kane, and he's like, the face that runs the place needs a tag partner. Yeah. I like the sound of it, the phenomenal one, and the devil's favourite demon. Kane laughs and walks away. Shane McMahon's in the ring with carpet and table along with a contract. And says, you know, SmackDown's all about opportunities. And want to single out one individual because he took advantage of it and became a SmackDown Tag Champ and earned his spot on the roster. Because here comes the official contract signing for Heath Slater along with the Rhino. And Shane goes, look, I'm a man of my word. Let's get down to the official business. Heath signs it, and he's officially on the SmackDown roster. Screams on the mic. Thanks Shane and Daniel for making it happen. Thanks Beulah. And says, we're moving to a double wide. Because apparently people didn't hear it on Backlash. Now, there's a lot of talk that he couldn't do it on his own, but he found Rhino. He's his friend, he's his partner. Tag champs. They'll take on anyone, anywhere, any place. He wants to thank his kids. Roscoe, Betty Lou, Dustin, Josh, and then the Ascension music cuts him off. And Connor goes, any place? How about here? Victor goes, anytime? How about now? And both of them go, anyone? How about us? And everyone in the crowd goes, really? Not a bloody chance. And Heath goes, but the table's in the ring. We can't do it now. And Shane's like, yeah, okay. We'll clear everything out the ring and we'll have a match. Shane goes heel, supporting the Ascension. Oh. I need Jack's stash. Either way, thank God Heath Slater and Rhino win and retain. I approve. And AJ finds Brian, and Daniel's like, have you found a partner? And AJ's like, no. And Daniel's like, don't worry, I found a partner for you, James Ellsworth. And the crowd like goes, "Oh my God! The jobber from weeks ago is back." So then Randy Orton makes his way to the ring and says, you know, "All you do is talk, Bray. You're the face of fear. Now I finally know what that means. You're afraid. You're afraid of me. You know, you're afraid of me on Sunday. That's why you attacked me from behind, but it didn't work. You're not the first. You will not be the last. You know, I'm in the ring by myself, so if you got the balls, come to this ring. Face your fear." So then Bray, hang on, I need a drink to prepare for this. It's going to be a long-ass video, but stuck it. That's why the indie one's going to be so good, because it's just going to be shorter. Bray's on the Tron and goes, "A wise man knows when to stay down. This world we live in, it's cruel and unfair. I gave you a gift, Randy. I gave you a way out. All you had to do was stay down. But, like an idiot, you didn't. Instead, you chose to embarrass me. And I didn't like that. I know what I must do. I cannot stop till death do us part. Not fire, not daggers, not even bullets will end this. Don't sleep. Do not sleep." Lights are back on in the arena. Bray's right behind Orton at ringside. Bray sits on the announce table, removes his hat, removes his vest. And Randy's waiting, but Bray does nothing. The lights go out, come back on. Eric's in the ring. Yeah, Rowan's here. Oh, all of a sudden he's atoned or something. Attacks Randy from behind. It's like, you know, Wyatt turned his back on Rowan. 2 weeks later, you're all right. There's some continuity here going. Blah. So Rowan attacks. Goes to continue the attack. RKO from out of nowhere. So then we're backstage. And James Ellsworth is heading to the ring backstage, and it's like a crowd are going crazy. Or poses on the ramp because he actually gets like an entrance. But then Miz attacks him with a clothesline, punches him, and goes, "I'm the main event." And skull-crushing finale on the ramp. And Miz gets booed out of all hell. And James Ellsworth gets nothing. I'm pretty sure he got the largest pop in the night. That says a lot. That the jobber got a bigger pop than Cena or Orton. This is somewhat awkward. And AJ's like, "What's going to happen? What's happening?" And Miz goes, "Okay, I'm the main event." And AJ's like, "Do you want to be my partner?" Miz immediately shakes hands, and here we go. AJ Styles Miz versus Dean Ambrose and Cena. Pretty damn good match actually for a main event. Cena getting the win with an attitude adjustment on Miz, while Ambrose took out Styles on the outside with a suicide dive. And afterwards, Cena posed on the turnbuckles, and then I think Dean hit him with a kick and a double underhook DDT, the Dirty Deeds and whatever. And that's how we ended. In terms of Superstars main event stuff, on Superstars, Braun Strowman beat Sin Cara again, and Neville and Darren Young beat Titus O'Neil and Curtis Axel. I'm sorry, Superstars, I don't know what you do to deserve those two matches. In the dark match for main event, Kurt Hawkins beat Brandon Scott, with Hawkins as a heel. Just sort of obvious from the way that the promo's done. And then the main event itself, Kane beat Tyler Breeze and Fandango in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Owen will be pleased. Odd. And Jason Jordan pinned Aiden English with Gable and Gotch in their respective tag team partners' corner. So there you go. That's all the stuff. Rounding off, though, with a whole lot of news. Starting off with the Meltzer stuff. Apparently, Backlash only took 7,000 tickets for fans. And that was with a lot of papering, apparently. With reports of tickets being given away in nightclubs, as well as outside a comic book convention the day before the show. And it's also worth noting, in terms of web searches, for the first time in quite a while, a WWE pay-per-view show didn't get into the top 20 searches for that day. With the exception of Sabre and Ibushi, everybody that was on that final episode of CWC has been signed by WWE, including Swan, Gallagher, Tozawa, who's finishing up his Dragon Gate commitments, and even possibly Ho-Ho Loon, because of the possibility that they want to get stars for the Chinese market and whatever. Metallic's still working in Mexico until he moves his family in, so that's why he probably didn't win. So that's why T.J. Perkins was out. If you look at it, out of the four, the only one that could win, because Metallic's still finishing his commitments as Mascara Dorada in Mexico. Speaking of the Mexico stuff, continuation from some of the stuff I did on Wednesday. If you didn't hear it, it's like, is Elite just splitting with CMLL? Who knows? Basically, the issues were CMLL attempted to get the Elite TV time slot on TV Azteca and air their Friday night Arena Mexico matches, which currently air on the internet. Elite was angry and complained, and led to CMLL kicking them out from being allowed to use Arena Mexico, hence why they were looking for a new building. What's notable, though, is Caristico worked for both promotions on September the 9th, working the main event at Arena Mexico that ended at 10:50, and then quickly rushed to an arena 45 minutes away, where Elite purposefully stalled and lengthened the show, and changed the match order to move his match to last, and so had LA Park and Blue Demon Jr. basically doing mask versus mask challenges and stuff. I don't know. It does appear, though, that even though CMLL is not letting Elite run Arena Mexico, some problems have been alleviated, because TV tapings are moving from Friday nights head-to-head with CMLL to Wednesday nights at a slightly smaller arena, which only holds about 2,500 rather than the big arena. So because of that, they can actually use the CMLL talent. So people like Rey Scorpion, Caristico, and Fuerza Guerrera can now run both shows. In terms of the little AAA news, it's all now but confirmed that Phoenix is going to be heading out, with the only thing that could hold him back being if Lucha Underground would stop using him. And basically, the Sexy Star situation has given people the impression Lucha Underground won't stop people or using people that have left AAA, because, of course, she did work on Season 3, despite the fact that basically her AAA commitments were none over that time. New Japan's total gross revenue from wrestling operations for the last 12 months, September to August, was $32 million, which was 18.5% over the past year, which is significant because they did it with a much much lower attendance, and with the loss of a number of key people like your Nakamura's and your AJ's. So in terms of like finances, it's probably them and CMLL that's probably the number 2 wrestling company in the world. Sorry, Impact. But then in terms of total revenue, they're only making about 5% of what WWE makes. So it's vast gap, clearly, in terms of that, in terms of finances. Now, this is something that did crop up, and I'll probably mention it in the indie stuff, depending how it affects the New Japan shows. But Shibata's out of action with a spine injury. Supposedly, it's happening this weekend on the Destruction show. I'm not sure whether that happened. Just for the heck of it, I will look for you, because I'm a smart ass. I can't do that cheesy grin though that Adam Pacitti does. The thing that before it happened though, this show, which I'm just going to check on, there it is. It was noted that the injury was significant and he could be in action for a while and might be forced to vacate the belt. Let's see what happened. No, it still happened. So even though he's working with a spinal injury, he's still working. Sometimes what I don't get with Japan. Also, interestingly, New Japan has interest in signing both Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, because their deals are coming up very soon for Ring of Honor. The thing with that, of course, means they could still work Ring of Honor shows, even though being contracted to New Japan. Kyle's making it, son. Kyle's making it. Kari Hojo will be out of action for the next few weeks due to a concussion that she suffered in a match with Io Shirai in Stardom, taking a Ganso bomb off the apron. Other women's wrestling stuff in Japan. There was a woman wrestler named Courtney Stewart from Scotland in the current Stardom singles tournament, but left the promotion in the middle of a tour without informing anybody, that just disappeared. But then when she got home, she called Rossi Agara, that runs the promotion, and told her that she left. Basically, she had started 2 different physical confrontations on the tour with Tessa Blanchard, and the rest of the roster didn't like her. So yeah, Tessa's becoming popular. I guess because she's been around for longer, that's why Courtney Stewart was the one that got nope. David Angle, Kurt's older brother, was sentenced to 30 months to 10 years in prison for the murder of his wife last year. If you vaguely remember, I think we covered it for a little bit. He did plead guilty to voluntary manslaughter and the death of his wife, believing that basically they got into a fight. His wife wanted him to drink, and basically he didn't want to. And then she started hitting him, tried to stop her, and then turned into a fight where she ended up dead. So, a bit extreme. Slightly lighter news. Lucha Underground have signed a deal with Samurai TV in Japan, with season 1 set to start airing there some point in October. Since the contract situation with Adam Cole has been asked about to Dave over the last few weeks, it's no secret WWE wants him, and there was one point where they wanted him to fast track him to the NXT title. I can't think why, considering that picture that came out this week of him and Kevin Owens in a hotel room, both holding the Ring of Honor and WWE Universal World titles, respectively. He is under contract right until December 31st. But now, because he missed 4 months due to injuries, Ring of Honor saying he signed for a so much long period, we now believe they're now basically claiming the contract will expire at the end of April because of the 4 months he missed. In which case, good old Ring of Honor. Billy Corgan's publicly talked of wanting to buy a majority interest in TNA. Basically, TNA's obviously owned by Dixie. Corgan and Aralux, the combination of. And basically, the only reason Corgan and Aralux are in there is because they funded the TV tapings. Carter still owns about 70% of the company, but Corgan was able to get control and the presidency for putting the recent money in. Despite the fact the rumours were that Aralux were going to buy him out completely. Basically, Corgan and his investors are trying to put together a deal, but the winner apparently is going to be John Gabarick. The feeling was basically if Aralux had got the company, he'd have been gone, but he isn't. He's apparently working on Corgan's good side. Dixie apparently wants at least $4 million for her stock in the company. And there's the feeling that needs to go through soon. The deal needs to go through very soon because they need the money to get the next set of tapings done, which start with Bound for Glory on October 2nd, which will cost somewhere in the region of $600,000 to $800,000. And then they'll have everything in the can through to at least the end of November, in which the new ownership would then have the money to fund another set of tapings. It's also noted that Rebel is no longer with the company. Her contract expired, and they didn't decide to renew her. And of course, she was in probably one of the worst matches of the year between her and Shelly Martinez, which, you know, got -5 stars from quite a few people, including, you know, Brian and Dave over at Wrestling Observer. Speaking of TNA as well, they officially no longer have a marketing department because Eric Barnes, who was the last person left in it, is no longer a full-time employee. He's now said to still have an involvement with the company as a consultant, but he's no longer. The title he was given was Senior Director of Consumer Engagement and Integrated Communications, aka Marketing. WWE's changing the names of some of the belts. So the main belts will be the Universal title on Raw and the World title on SmackDown. So World Heavyweight is now going to be gone from the belt. But, you know, that could come back. Who knows? Whether the Universal belt might become the Universal Heavyweight title might happen, considering the Cruiserweight thing. IC title and the US title will stay as they are. The WWE Tag Team Championship and the Women's Championship are now the Raw Tag Team and the Raw Women's title. With the idea if they were WWE belts, it would make the SmackDown belts seem less important, since they only had a brand name. Or something. WWE filed a motion in the District Court in Connecticut, attempting to get a ruling that would ban Blackjack Mulligan, Dynamite Kid, Coco Beware, and Ivan Koloff from filing suit against the company for damages related to concussions. Basically, they want to stop them from suing, trying to get a ruling from court that all 4 cases are time-barred. Which, of course, that means if they get the ruling, all the other wrestlers from that era will have a court precedent set as far as statute of limitations from brain injuries. So we'll have to see what happens. Stephanie McMahon's Lady Balls book, which isn't going to be called that anymore because of the, copyright and everything. The book will now be coming out next year. Apparently, she wanted it. The reason it didn't come out this month is because she had so much more to share. Or you got done like a kipper, love. You got done like a kipper. It's also notable that the recent WWE Network commercials have had more and more Hulk in them, including 2 voice clips in the bit that's going on now. Now, obviously, they've not pushed him previously because of various things. And they wanted to bring Hogan back when the time was right. And basically, Dave thinks this is a testing of the waters to see what happens. And as he says, most wrestling fans won't give a damn. And will always have a nostalgia for him going back no matter what he does. But, you know, the racist comments, it's still a bit awkward. And they can't plead ignorance if a sponsor gets mad over it. But the fact that Brian Lochte's on Dancing with the Stars so soon after becoming the poster boy for the ugly entitled American abroad with no sponsor backlash says a lot. Even though the sponsors, a fair few of the sponsors have dropped him as a sponsor, as their representative. But obviously, you know, he's getting all this bad press, understandably. After Raw last week, WWE HQ contacted everyone on the web team and told them not to promote or make mention of the Charlotte versus Sasha match at Clash of Champs, and to unpublish any match previews and eliminate any reference in any language on the site. Because even though the match was announced a couple of weeks back, they had scripted already that the show this past Monday was going to have a triple threat. And even though Sasha was winning and the match was staying the same, they wanted to go back and do the idea and go with the idea that no match had been announced. Despite the fact, on Backlash, they bloody announced it. I don't know how that came up on the mic, but man, that hurt. Shelton had surgery last week to repair a torn rotator cuff. Is expected to return to WWE, though, after that recovery should be somewhere around 6 months. So, you never know. In that time, he might be back just in time for WrestleMania or to come after that. There are rumours of doing a takeover show before the end of the year at the theatre in the Madison Square Garden area, as well as a Boston show. I don't know if that's actually a Boston takeover or just a big show in the Boston area. But I'm guessing that could mean that there could be an NXT show at some point, possibly, during the Christmas period. Because, of course, they traditionally do the 26th of December show. They do a house show at the Garden, so could they do an afternoon takeover? We'll have to see. The company's also signed 7 new wrestlers from China in the attempt to create the kind of native star like a Bin Wang or Yao Ming, as his actual name is. The seven men that are coming to Orlando are Big Boa, 6'3.5", 220 pounds, competed at purple belt level in BJJ, winning the Chinese title or Chinese championship. Gu Guanming, 6'8", 285, a boxer who is a Chinese amateur heavyweight champ. Gao Li, 5'10" and 320 pounds, so he's shorter but fatter. Man, amateur wrestler from Mongolia. Chi Chia, I think that's how it's pronounced, 5'4" and 135, who was a women's martial arts and fitness competitor who won the Chinese Wushu championship. Wushu is going to be in the Olympics, I think, 2020. So I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I'm not well versed on it, but I'll probably know by 2020 because of the Olympics. Who knows? As well as a Nike Challenge fitness competition. Wang Jiaolong, Long Wang, jokes. 6'3", 240 pounds, no athletic background to speak of. Ji Feng, because he's only one word. 6'2", 237 pound actor from Shanghai. Again, no experience other than acting. And Qiang Yu Zhang, 6'2", 225 pound, and he's a fitness trainer with a background in boxing. That sounds better than the other two. I guess this is your Cody segment, this little bit. He did an interview saying that he and Stephen Amell at one point were scheduled to be having a singles match at last year's Hell in a Cell show at the Staples Center, but was nixed. He said, quote, "The way it was kiboshed was unfortunate because we had already set up ring time and Vince told us the direction we're going, and I'm used to things changing on the fly when you got somebody from that world because that's kind of a kick in the balls for them, especially when there's no reason. I think, and this wasn't the answer I will give, but WWE tends to define celebrities different than how my generation defines celebrities. I'm probably more out of it than I think, but the younger crowd is on the cusp of pop culture, and WWE is hell-bent on their celebrities being 10 years out of their prime or bored as hell. You know what? After that Swagger, Jagger, whatever that shit was, I agree with that comment. Makes perfect sense. WWE website also had an article on the Tommy Rich Buzz Sawyer Omni footage. And apparently they've had it in their vault since 2001, when it got there with a tape library from WCW, with some field reels in the collection only that were labelled on it Omni Live Events. And nobody ever looked at them until this year. Somebody looked at it and they were like, man, it's that footage. So there might be a lot of footage that nobody's ever seen on them, which could be interesting. And also, because they were old film reels, and they were film and they were never really used that much, they could immediately take the image and, you know, put it up in HD and whatever, because there was no restoration needed because of the quality of the footage. Take that, Beatles. We don't need to restore anything and put it in 4K. Yeah. There is rumours that there will be another Shield reunion type spot at something, at one of the big 4/5. So whether it will be Survivor Series, whether it will be the Rumble, doubt it will be Mania, but probably one of them two. Madison Square Garden has officially confirmed that... Oh, okay. Madison Square Garden announced that the December 26th show that I was talking to you about earlier will be a SmackDown brand house show on a Monday night. Which is interesting because it's very expensive to run. And normally the Christmas week show that in Madison Square Garden is good and is one of the best drawing house shows. But because this is a SmackDown that's going head to head with Raw. Kane, Glenn Jacobs, worked as celebrity waiter in Muya Burgers, Fries and Shakes in Knoxville, Tennessee, over on September the 8th, a Thursday back from last Thursday, to raise awareness for a Faith to End Hunger food drive in the city. 5 restaurants participated that night in collecting non-perishable food items, as well as donating 10% of revenue earned to the program. Jacob said, I grew up in a family that didn't have a whole lot, but never went to bed hungry. I never knew that was like, and I can't imagine what it's like. We're such an affluent society that I don't think hunger should be a problem, especially here in East Tennessee, but unfortunately it is. Wow, food banks happening in America as well. The world's going to shit. WWE's announced the winners of free $5,000 educational scholarships they give to people who are formerly on the roster who are now attending college. So they are Jamie Keys, who was a former ring announcer and trainee, who is pursuing a master's degree in nursing. Kim Nielsen, who worked in developmental and was pushed really in the early days of TNA as Desire, vaguely remember her, and later appeared on The Biggest Loser, where she went from 252 to 134 pounds. Man. Who's working on a BA in Addiction and Recovery at Liberty University. Are they trying to appoint her for the wellness policy? Yeah, she's going to manage it. Probably. And Antonio the Promise Thomas of the Heartbreakers, Heartthrobs tag team, working on his master's in elementary education as well as doctoral work. Man, that's biggie. Although the word when Nikki Bella returned was that she could only work part-time due to a neck injury, she did all 3 house shows last weekend, so I think that's bollocks. Interestingly, over the last week, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament was off the books, and then all of a sudden put back on. I will give that as an NXT spoiler. The Dusty Classic is happening. Don't worry, it's happening. Now, considering they made a big thing about all these hidden gems on the network, none of them were the most watched VOD shows on the network. Mainly because they never pushed on television. And as of the Observer coming out on Wednesday, the top 10 shows were Backlash, the Cruiserweight Classic Semi-Final Show 2, Backlash Kickoff Show, NXT, SummerSlam, Holy Foley episodes. This week WWE, and a previous Cruiserweight Classic on the 10th of August. Wow, they jumped back a month. I guess that's good. Nick Gwadowski, two-time NCAA heavyweight champ, was front row in Backlash. Expected to get a WWE deal after the 2020 Olympics because he wants to focus on that. And also Seth Petrozelli, the former UFC fighter who's been striking coach at the Performance Center, is expected to start wrestling soon, but on the indie scene. Wanted to become a pro wrestler, but those in WWE were like, nah. Because probably they see 36 as too old to start in the WWE. Kevin? DDP? Just a feeling. Petrulli, Josh Woods, and Tom Lawler are all good friends. Josh Woods, who was recently cut from developmental, is also going to start on the Florida Indies. And unsurprisingly, because, you know, Tom's part of Observer Network now, Dave's pretty much sure that he'll try pro wrestling. And he apparently did have a WWE tryout before he got into the UFC, because he was cast after being picked for the cast of Ultimate Fighter. So there you go. Stuff that was well on Orton. The fact that they did know that Orton wasn't going to be cleared as he was. And that what he did do when he returned on the house show was very little and didn't take a bumps and just did an RKO. But as they say, it isn't clear whether that means he was cleared medically or the decision was basically made to just have him work a finish and do just one big move. Which, of course, stirs up all the issues. You know, the fact that they let Orton take all those shots can get concussed at his age and his situation that he is not good. And pretty much the implication is he's going to be concussion prone for life now because of what happened. And apparently the other reason why they did it, because they wanted mainstream media press saying, oh, you know, this fake wrestling, oh, it's real because, you know, some guy just murdered it. The thing is, the press didn't really give a damn, to be quite honest. It just, you know, it disappeared into obscurity. I don't think it's got any major eyes on it that weren't on it before. It's like, and the other thing as well is the impact test situation. Because it's well known that people cheat on the tests. Now, it's not, you know, Dave's not saying that Orton has, but there may be better systems rather than the impact test to see how bad a concussion sort of is. Because a lot of that then becomes political, because the head of medical is now the guy that was the forefront of the program that they use, as in Joseph Maroon. So, who knows? Very, very confusing. Now, the Paige situation. Paige was with Del Rio when he did his press conference and stuff, saying, like, the big thing that did come out from it, which is what we talked about related. He's talked with La Sombra, a.k.a. Andrade, Cien, Almas. And Almas is disappointed, and he used the line like once out. But I think it's just that he needs experience, really. Which is, you know, it's a shame. The way it's come out, though, it's like, well, Almas is going to get buried. You know, for somebody of his talents, man. With the Paige stuff, it was reported that she had quit the company, but They were basically trying to mend fences, and it looks as if she will be coming back, perhaps as early as when the 30-day suspension lifts, which is Memphis, Tennessee this Monday for Raw. But it would depend as well on her injuries, because apparently she's still healing up. It was also made, this decision was nearly also made to fire Paige several weeks ago, basically saying that there could be a firing coming. Dave was warned at some point by one of his sources. But apparently there was a change of heart. One thing that also did come out, which isn't Dave news, if I can find it. She put a statement out on Twitter clarifying her situation, saying, quote, "Let me begin by saying that the rumours I'm leaving are completely false. I certainly look forward to returning back at action at some point once my injury's treated and on a healthy run." She then also noted that, quote, "Although I was disappointed by my suspension, I respect the WWE's wellness policy. However, let me be clear, I wasn't suspended for failing a drug test. It was due to a procedural issue. I took the test and passed it, but I arranged said test to happen after I wasn't at my home when Aegis contacted me. So I drove 200 miles to do it, but unfortunately I didn't do it in time according to them. Once again, thank you for all the love and support." Believe that if you want. Some of that makes me think that sounds a little bit shady in terms of believable, but who knows. And some Lucha Underground news from Dave, at least oh no, not from Dave, possibly from Dave. This might be the end of the Dave news. So final little bits. Lucha Underground, in its opening week, got 234,000 viewers. With the first airing getting 227,000. And the replay, which went up against Cruiserweight Classic, if you remember, got 7,000. Yeah. This Wednesday's episode, during the Cruiserweight Classic finale and all that, drew a total of 154,000 viewers, so a pretty hefty drop. The first airing got only 99,000, so another hefty drop. But the replay from 7,000 actually got 55,000. In the week of the Cruiserweight Classic final, more people watched Lucha Underground in the second hour than they did the week before, when it was just a semi-final or quarter-final. Who knows? In comparison, the Season 2 premiere in total did 194,000. So, Season 2 opener to Season 3 opener, it did actually see a rise in viewership. And it's worth noting that they did, for at least the start show, which is always big, and the end show, which is always big, in terms of viewership drop rate, 194,000 were there for Season 2's premiere, and the Season 2 finale, the last episode of Ultima Lucha DOS Part 3, reached 170,000 viewers. So if they can sort of stay around those figures, I guess you could see it as a success, but the fact that they dropped so far is pretty tough. It'll be interesting to see, though, how it works out next week, because obviously there is no CWC, at least from what I know. I better go to my network schedule to see if there's anything happening with that. Any listings for Wednesday? What we got? Straight after NXT. Oh, Monday Night War is back on. So, no. no problem. Ring of Honor has announced. I'm so excited for this. Owen is going to be pissed. All-Star Extravaganza 8 gets Dragon Lee versus Kamitachi. One of the best matches of last year. One of the great feuds with mask versus mask between the two guys. Kamitachi lost, forced to unmask. The feud been continued this year in January for the CMLL lightweight title. Kamitachi winning, but then Dragon Lee winning the rematch. So, I mean, if we're getting that match, yay! Oh, yes. That's what I can say. Some of the bits from Del Rio stuff as well, other than that stuff I told you about CN. He plans to retire in 2 years, so has no plans to ever to return to WWE. And is working on opening a restaurant in San Antonio, La Chilanguita, next week, apparently. September 28th, so next Wednesday. So if you're in the region, eat with Del Rio. Sounds wrong. Del Rio also claimed that he failed his wellness policy because he was undergoing testosterone replacement therapy and had a prescription to undergo the therapy. Oh, we're doing that excuse, are we? Oh, it was fair. I guess it was his doctor, not WWE's doctor. That's probably the same. It's the same issue that affected Adam Rose, probably. Who knows? Said the failure wasn't fair, but when you sign a contract to work for a company, you have to adhere to their rules. You only just learn that. Last Monday's Raw did crap in terms of the ratings as it went head-to-head with the NFL. Overall ratings were 2.69 million. Down from the 3.069 million from last week. The third drop in as many weeks, and the lowest non-holiday Raw this year. Hour 1 started off with about 2.8 million and dropped down to 2.52 by hour 3. So really, really not good. In terms of the ratings for ESPN and the actual Monday Night Football games, it murdered everything. The Pittsburgh Steelers-Washington Redskins game got about close to 13 million. And then the late game between the 49ers and the LA Rams got about 10.2 million. Because all these were starting Eastern time. So, yeah, the Raw was going to suffer. Be more interesting this week because I'm not sure what is on the docket in terms of schedule for the NFL matches. Probably should, but there you go. In terms of what they're putting on Raw, or what they're putting on after Raw, apparently it's a Legends with JBL special, and it's going to be him with the Outsiders of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. That actually might be interesting. He says, hopefully. And, oh my God. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. Next Sunday, Clash of Champions and all that, they're doing a Holy Foley marathon of all 5 episodes. And then this week in WWE before the Clash of Champions kickoff show, Clash of Champions itself, and then the premiere of the new ride-along with Ric Flair and Charlotte, and Cole, JBL, and Byron Saxton. That could be problematic. Ring of Honor's announced its first matches for the UK tour in November. November 18th, it will be the Briscoes and Kyle O'Reilly taking on Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. In Leicester, on the 19th, it will be Alex Shelley versus Jay Lethal. And then on the 20th of November in London, apparently they're only going to cities with the L at the start of their name. So why didn't they go to Londonderry? Or Lincoln? Or... I've run out of cities that begin with L. in the UK. I didn't plan that out. The London show, Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll. Oh, yes! I like the sound of that one. Get it to me on demand now, even though it's September. Whatever. Also, interestingly, a bit of news that came up this week. A former West Seneca student died this past Thursday after suffering a medical emergency at a Moline, Illinois gym. Jonah Snyder was 20 years old. A family friend of Snyder says he was at the school designed for training professional wrestlers. Because the Moline Police Department said Snyder was enrolled at the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. The gym is run by Colby Lopez, a.k.a. Seth Rollins. The Rock Island County Coroner, Brian Gustafson, said he was training with 8 other people at the gym when he started to feel ill. According to the coroner, the trainers then instructed Snyder to sit down. His condition continued to worsen. Trainers called 911. Paramedics arrived and Snyder went into cardiac arrest. Taken to the medical centre where he was pronounced dead on arrival. But then an autopsy done on Friday was inconclusive. And the police are continuing to investigate this issue. I hope it wasn't like a hole in the heart thing, because that's always a sad thing to see, but I don't think, who knows whether it'll have a backlash. I know one of the Hearts was complaining, like, he injured himself, he injured Sting, he's injured Finn Balor, he's injuring people, and then his wrestling school, people are dying. Admittedly, we don't know the whole evidence, so I think that's sort of bullshit. But, hot mess that is. Very interesting note, though, to actually make me look forward to watching Raw this week. Mick Foley went onto Facebook and said that Bryan messed with the wrong guy after raiding Raw and using James Ellsworth as their talent. The open letter reads, "Dear Daniel, I am a James Ellsworth guy, but James Ellsworth is a Raw guy, and now you have messed with the wrong guy. By raiding Raw for superstars like James Ellsworth." I don't know if to treat that seriously. You're setting a dangerous precedent, my friend. More seriously, you risk confusing the WWE Universe, especially the little Elsters out there who have been waiting for me to sign hashtag Elmore versus Strowman 2 for an upcoming Raw pay-per-view. If that happens, shame on you, Daniel, shame on you. There is, however, a way out of the situation, and this is where it's like, I don't know what he's going on about, but now, how about if you and Moro come to Raw on Monday to call our Cruiserweight matches on Raw? We'll call it even and hope the little Elsters out there understand. Sincerely, Mick Foley. I went through that quickly because, yes, Moro's going to be on Raw. Yes, Daniel Bryan's going to be on Raw. Who cares? They're only doing the Cruiserweight match. Yes, yes, holy shit, yes. That's all I have to say. Oh, Raw might be slightly good this week. Now, this comes from a New York Post article, which is more stuff actually about the whole situation with Billy Corgan wanting to buy TNA. The interview basically says, Corgan says, quote, "There's a rebel spirit in wrestling that's gone out of rock and roll." Sorry, that surprised me. "I'd love nothing better than to stand up in front of everyone and give a clear picture of where the company is and where it's going. While Corgan wants to make the presentation on as Impact's new majority owner, he admits there's still a lot of people at the table." And here's where the little tidbit comes in that the New York Post is claiming that they know. WWE and Sinclair, owners of Ring of Honor, are rumoured to have made recent bids. This all of a sudden has exploded. Forbes is running it. Obviously, a heck of a lot of the dirt sheets are running it, but it's getting traction for some reason. Just looking at the notes here, as it says, in addition to majority owner and chairwoman Dixie Carter, Corgan, Aerolux Marketing, and Canada's Fight Network all have equity stakes. So they don't know about Challenge in the UK and Sony 6 in India. So this might be a little bit not fully factored out. Who knows? Meanwhile, the company so financially strapped that its investor and Aerolux have been taking over its trademark. The parties have agreed on the sale price, although he can't reveal the figure. An estimate based on publicity traded WWE's market value of 2 times revenue will put it at about $40 million. You ultimately have to rely on your own calculus as to what something's worth. UFC's $4 billion sale factored into his math, apparently. After signing up MLB, the NBA, and soccer, who do you call? Ghostbusters? He believes wrestling's underappreciated in the digital era, particularly in light of being a driver of traditional TV from the beginning. I don't think it's like, oh, wrestling's going to save traditional TV. No. Spoilers, because I was pissed when I found out about this when I got back before I shot this. Shikara decided to put up its event that happened today, September the 17th, up for free on their Facebook page as a live broadcast. That's very good marketing. TNA wouldn't put up anything for free online because TV deals. That's the mess you're in, mate. Providing storylines in people's lives is overlooked, so is the multicultural aspect of wrestling as a perfect sell through advertisers. After what Brock did? You think some advertiser, do you think Mattel will like Brock making him bleed the hard way? Don't think so. If you were thinking that sounds bad though for TNA, WWE wasn't good. And I hate to blame Travis for this one, but Louisville, Kentucky, because I think this was the show that was in his area. I'm probably wrong, in which case I apologise, Travis, but this needs to be said. Louisville, Kentucky, somebody on Twitter noted one end of the lower section, as in, the lower bit of the bowl, was completely tarped off, while the other end was only 2/3 full, and every single seat of the top section didn't even sell or was empty. Also, in a bit of a swerve, Shag Gaspard's been training Terry Crews to wrestle, but not to become the newest member of Crime Time. I don't know where that article came from, because that's bollocks. Apparently they're working on Adam Sandler's next movie, which is, unsurprisingly, a Netflix film, called Sandy Wexler, and apparently trained with Shad for weeks beforehand so he could do all the wrestling himself once filming began. The film also stars Jennifer Hudson, and it's being rumoured that Otunga may be making an appearance, because obviously she be married, or getting married to him, and he be on WWE. There's also word that Rikishi's going to be in the film playing a Yokozuna-like character, aka the Sultan. It's my thought, probably. And also Shad might be appearing in it as well, but depends on the final cut. Apparently Crew's character is going to be called Bobby Bedtime. Well, it's an Adam Sandler film, so it's 9 times out of 10 going to be crap. And finally, a bit more on top of that news about New Japan wanting Fish and O'Reilly. and Ring of Honor situations, they're trying to sign quite a lot of people for combined deals, because quite a few high-profile deals are set to expire at the end of the year, but are hopeful that working with New Japan will prevent it. And of course, as previously mentioned, New Japan wants to prevent the big exodus of all the people going to the E. They've also expressed interest at running New Japan shows in America next year, hence why they're trying to sign US stars to mix in with the New Japan roster. One of the first people that's been offered a combo deal is Matt Sydal, currently under contract to New Japan for another year, but I think it's PW Torch's article came from. The knowledge is that Sydal has not signed the deal yet, notably that the as previously mentioned, the Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly deals are set to expire this year. But Talent believes, as I sort of thought, as I said earlier, New Japan and Ring of Honor would work together in free agent situations to offer combo deals that will prevent the two companies from actually bidding against each other. It could be a combined partnership. That sounds way too kind. Boo! We want war. That sounded a bit wrong. Just realised that. So, that's a bloody long video. Might be 3 hours, but fuck it. It's going to take 17 hours to get online to Owen, so he can put it up for you. I'll have to make it go shorter. Although, considering how we went with the Wednesday podcast, it probably won't. So, yeah, next week, although a bit delayed, we're going to have Raw, we'll be having SmackDown, Ring of Honor. I'm just going through the order of days that will be happening. WCPW from this past week that's just happened. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I sound like that. Wednesday will be Lucha Underground and NXT. And then Thursday's Impact, which... No, we've still got 2 shows before the go home to Bound for Glory. BFG, Big Friendly Giant. So that, probably Dave news, probably other news. Who knows whether it will involve Cody. I guess that segment's dropped for this bit. But there you go. That's your lot. If you don't catch me for the indie Popcast wrap-up, whatever it's called, hopefully I'll catch you some point early next week. Well, I'm going to a games convention. I want to have fun. I don't want to deal with a dilapidated boat. Then again, that might make the games convention more interesting. Yeah. If I turn up on a dilapidated boat. Admittedly, I'd be sailing across concrete, so it probably wouldn't work.